Rob Tubbett for Boxing News, joined by Eddie Hearn. We are here the day after the 5 versus 5 day of media day today. Eddie, how are you?
Second media day, really? Yeah, I'm good. This has been a long schlock, if that's a word. Shock? I don't know.
Slog?
Yeah, more of a slog. But very enjoyable. Not seen this much hype or interest in a card for a long time. And also remembering that Bivol Beterbiev is headlining the 5v5. So I think 6 pure 50-50 fights. I think it's the best card I've ever seen. And realising it's 2 weeks after Fury against Usyk, both in Riyadh. So I feel like I definitely wasn't going stale. But, it's a long schlock, this boxing game. And this has just definitely put a little spring in my step. Loved yesterday. Loved the promo. Loved the different kind of... Loved the concept. Loved the fact that you're seeing fighters that might not get the opportunity on this kind of stage the way they're embracing it. And, and our relationship with Queensberry evolving as well. And genuinely, it's... we should have really done it earlier. But at least we got there in the end.
Absolutely. This is actually the first time that we've done an interview since... I think June of last year.
Really?
Yeah, it's been a long time. And obviously since then, you're partnered up with Hank Warren, you're representing Deontay Wilder, I see Shelley Finkel knocking about. It's like going into the Twilight Zone. Even here, kind of walking in there and seeing you and Frank, very cordial. So it's not just for the cameras, for people who are seeing there. What the hell happened, Eddie? Since the last time I spoke to you, it seems like everything has changed.
Yeah, I think, not going too deep into it, I think I've realised that, I just said it in an interview 10 minutes ago for the first time, we're probably a lot more similar than we think, as a family as well, they're both family businesses, okay? My dad, Frank, they're both working class, one from the East End, one from North London. They both made money. They both started doing well in business. They both have a son or sons that are involved in the business and probably grew up in a similar surroundings of a working class mentality, but also at private school. Do you know what I mean? Massively competitive as individuals and as a family. Do you know what I mean? Probably share similar values as so, and then you start to really realise the passion for boxing, the love for the game, really just our entire heart is in the sport. And then once you sort of sit down and have a bit of dinner, when we first met, it was more like I suppose you better go and do this, we got to do this for our fighters and for the sport and for the business and for His Excellency. Frank, look, let's not muck around, let's just get on with it. And then it's like a few dinners and the experiences of the Day of Reckoning and Fury Joshua Ngannou, watching fights together. I think he keeps getting asked, what's the one thing that surprised you about Eddie? And he said his knowledge of boxing. Now, I know he's got great knowledge of boxing. He's been around it forever. But just the love of boxing, and the love of providing opportunities for these young men and women now as well is something we really enjoy and have a passion for. So, yeah, it's weird how it's evolved, to the point where, like you say, we off camera, we were having a laugh. The teams are working well together. You got George Warren, who's the brains behind the operation, as Frank calls him, and Frank Smith, who he's probably the brains behind our operation. Two good young men there, but two great businesses with young men, young women, and established people in the industry working well together. And it's definitely given me a little bit of a lease of life in a sport that's very draining. And he's one of the reasons that I've been drained over the years, because that's what he does. And he's brilliant at that. You have to remember, when I started in this sport, he did everything he could to break me, right? And that's his job. I don't hold it against him. But, the interviews, the letters, the legals, it was like bombardment. Because he would have thought, we'll break him. He won't have what it takes. You can't take it. You can't take this. And I took it. And it made me who I am today. As a promoter, as a person, you know, and it's not always been easy, but I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah, it's been very interesting to watch from afar, kind of knowing some of your history over the years, and obviously being somewhat in between it at times as well, doing our job. So yes, anyway, let's move on, because I know we're pressed for time, and appreciate your time. You've done a lot of media today, as you always do. Let's talk about the 5 versus 5. The first one that I want to talk about is Deontay Wilder.
Yeah.
Kind of goes along with the theme of this interview of kind of boxing breeding strange bedfellows. Tell me about how that came to pass. Obviously, we saw the photo a few months back of you having the flight together. Yeah. Yourself and Shelley, I think it's fair to say, have not been best of pals over the years. Yeah. But it's all come about and it's all worked. How did it happen?
So, you know, when His Excellency says that he gets to pick one weight class, I knew he was going to choose heavyweight, but Frank had already chosen heavyweight as well. And I looked at my stable, and I had Anthony Joshua, who's obviously tied up, and I've got Justice Haney, who is probably a little bit too early for him. I've got Filip Hrgović, who's already in the tournament. So I said to His Excellency, am I allowed to go and sign fighters in this concept? And he said, only in my pick, my wild card pick. So I'm like, okay. So then I start thinking, and I think, I'll get Wilder. And then I thought, and then a few people said, what's he gonna fight on Team Matchroom? I said, yeah, why not? It's a great story. And with a little bit of help from a few people, we made them believers in the plan and the concept. It's only one fight, one night. But hopefully it could be more beyond that. And I think my move to make him captain was just a double down of that belief in him, because I really believe one thing, that people underestimate what a promoter can add to you as a fighter. Not just in terms of your profile, but just that belief, like feeling like you're a star, you know, pumping your chest out while someone's standing there going, this guy is the man. And he's never had that. He's never had a promoter. And he's always been the one, I'm this bomb squad, blah, 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 blah. And like when I sat down with him yesterday before the presser, I said, I want you to know I picked you because I believe in you and I think you're a dangerous guy. I think you're a great heavyweight. I think you're going to bounce back. He was like, okay. You know, and I'm mucking around in front of the cameras, going through the whole team. And I see when I'm saying, now this guy, and I'm looking over and he's like, you know, don't underestimate the power of what that can do. Giving him the captaincy was just a double down on that. I need to give my captaincy to the person, it's double points. The one I really believe is going to win. It's you. Yeah, you know? So, yeah, just a weird turn of events. And, you know, a lot of these people, they think that I don't like them. Where they same with Tyson Fury, right? I've always liked Wilder. I've always liked his company. I love Fury's company. One, because he's hilarious. Two, he's so knowledgeable about boxing. I love that, and they're the conversations that I like. But because of the back and forwards on interviews and stuff like that, you end up rubbing people up the wrong way. And, you know, to a point where they go, oh, yeah, you don't want Fury to win. 100% I want Fury to beat Usyk.
Do you think he will?
Not today, but 2 days ago I did. I just saw a video of Usyk in training camp, you know, with a fade and like the little, you know, and I thought, the neck looks big. Don't know, he looks so pumped. He looks so confident. But tomorrow I'll think Fury will win again. That's why it's such a great fight. So I like these people. Like there's not really anybody. We all share the same passion. You know, it doesn't mean that you get on with everyone, but we share that passion, and we like to engage in conversations. And you know, he's got a career defining for a career. His career's on the line on June 1st.
What next for him will be, you know, if he is successful, I understand there'll be a conversation after that. We're kind of waiting to hear what happens with the IBF. It looks as though that Hrgović versus Daniel Dubois will be for the vacant IBF title. Does the winner of that fight Anthony Joshua? Is Anthony Joshua laying in the cup for the winner of Fury versus Usyk? What can you tell me?
Anything's possible. I mean, I've said before, I believe AJ's next fight will be for the World Heavyweight Championship or for the Undisputed. Now, people keep pouring water on the Undisputed chat, and they're right to, because there is a 2-fight deal, and it's a lot of money on the table, and I doubt anyone will step aside. But things can happen. People can get injured. His Excellency could step up and say, hang on, guys, we've got a chance here to make this fight. So I do think AJ's next fight could well be against the winner of Hrgović against Dubois, but we'll see. Anything's possible.
Last quick couple from me. Ray Ford. Spoke to Ray Ford. Heard that before the fight he was tight at the weight at 126. Heard in the immediate aftermath in the ring, no more 126.
Yeah.
I put it to him, why would you box at 126? He was very honest. He said, well, the money was good.
Yeah.
Do you think this is the last fight from at 126, and how dangerous is it against a guy like Nick Ball?
Very dangerous. I mean, always dangerous. And, Komatov was extremely dangerous as well, and he beat him. A lot of these guys, we're going to them now with 7 weeks to go and saying, let us invest in you over this camp to make sure that we win. And one of the questions or one of the conversations I had with Ray a couple of weeks ago was, let me bring in a top nutritionist. A lot of these guys, they don't work with people, or they don't work with the right people. They do it themselves. It can make a big difference. So the weight is key for Ray, and if he makes that weight efficiently, I expect him to beat Nick Ball in style. And eventually, of course, 130 is the next move. But also, they've got to understand the value is within the fact they're world champion and within the belt. So don't just expect to move to 130, because if we can't get you a world title shot, maybe financially it's not the same spot. So, we have to make sure that that opportunity is there for him. And we have to make sure that he makes weight efficiently. And as I said, if he does, I believe he'll be triumphant.
Away from this card, I dropped you a message during the week because you signed a certain Jaron Ennis, adding him to your US
you liked
stable.
That one, didn't you?
I very much did like that one.
Yeah, it's massive.
I know you liked the fact that everybody liked it.
Yeah. 5 years I've been trying to sign Jaron Ennis. I'd literally known. I posted an interview the other day where I said Devin Haney and Boots Ennis are the future of the sport. That was 5 years ago. I can't actually quite believe we've got him, because it seems like, I go back to Frank putting the pressure on for years and years. Same in America with people trying to convince people not to sign with us. But honestly, it's so obvious to sign with us at times. And Jaron is a perfect example of, it's the perfect link up. We want a big American star. He needs promoting. He needs profile. He needs activity. They're all things that we can offer. The only thing that people have a point on, in the past particularly, is what fights can you deliver for him at 147 pounds? Well, that's our job to do so. But the landscape's changing. Errol Spencer's moved to 54. Crawford's moved to 54. So what now? Who do we need to get? We need to get Stanionis. We need to get Barrios. These are not guys that are making 5s and 10s of millions of dollars. So I'm very hopeful we can get those unification fights, whilst also understanding everyone knows how good he is. That's the problem, And this kid's going to be a superstar. We need to lock in this next fight, and mandatory next, and then a big fight in the autumn.
Terence Crawford, you mentioned they're moving to 154 pounds. I heard some talk last night about him boxing Israel Madrimov, obviously the WBA 154 pound champion. What can you tell me about that?
No, I mean, it's a couple of chats, really. I mean, I think Crawford wants to face the champions at 54, so I'm sure he's speaking to Fundora, other champions as well. Israel Madrimov now has a piece of that. Madrimov's a dangerous guy. I know Crawford's very good, but moving to 54, that would be an interesting fight, but nothing really to report on that, but I'm sure he's looking to face all the champions at some point.
And lastly, before I let you go, Devin Haney versus Ryan Garcia for this weekend.
Can't believe we're here,
Well, we're not there yet, which is important to point out. What have you made, obviously, of the build-up to the fight, and subsequently, what is your prediction? Should they get in the
I'll be honest, I was at the first press conference. I felt I was very concerned as to whether this fight was going to take place. It's got, I say worse, it's got more interesting from Ryan. And I can't believe we're 3 days away, quite honestly. You have to put your faith in Golden Boy, Derek James, the Garcia family, that they wouldn't allow him to be in there if he wasn't ready to fight and if his preparation was terrible. I genuinely, and I know people, want to get people in the fight to make money, but I just do not believe that if he was at, 60%, that they'd allow him to fight. 70%, because it's a dangerous fight and it's a very tough fight. However, the problem that Ryan has is not necessarily his social media outbursts. The problem that Ryan has is Devin Haney, who in the meantime has been working like he always does, which is like a dog, to be 110% ready for this fight. And if Ryan is not on, Devin will school him and stop him. And that is what I think will happen on Saturday night in Brooklyn.
Last one. Ryan Garcia, I think he posted something in the middle of the night. He was at a bar in New York. He was DJing. He had his shirt off and all of that. If that was one of your fighters ahead of a pay-per-view fight, what would you be saying to them?
I would have been in there a long time ago. You know, I would have had people there. Me, probably. I would have flown in. I would have spent time in the camp. But at this point, it probably is what it is. You know, in terms of, I mean, Oscar's probably looking at it going, you know, and they don't seem to have that relationship anyway, where you can go in and, you know, and also if you don't have that kind of, don't forget, it's not just as easy as pulling someone out of a fight contractually. Like if you're Ryan Garcia and Golden Boy cancelled the fight, you go, what? Like and if he's performing in the gym, which, you know, he may well be, he's going, I don't understand, you know. So it's a very difficult situation. But the one thing I will say is the attributes that Ryan has will exist on Saturday night regardless. Good reflexes, speed and power. Do you know what I mean? They're not. He's not going to have them. Now, how will his fitness hold up? How will his concentration hold up? How, you know, I don't know. No idea. Listen, maybe he's going to be unbelievable and shock us all.
If he won, where would that put? I know you're a Devin Haney guy, but considering all of the build-up, let's say he goes over and again, I know you're a Devin Haney guy, chins him with a left hook in the second round.
Rob, can happen. He can punch. He's not going to not be able to punch on Saturday night. He's going to be dangerous. And listen, maybe his mentality at the moment is super dangerous because he's actually not. You know, I said in the build-up, Tank didn't like it because he texted me about it, but I said Gervonta Davis is not an overthinker. I didn't say he's not intelligent. I just said, like, look at Ryan at the moment. The things going on inside his mind. That's not the right preparation for boxing. Gervonta Davis his mindset is strong. He don't give a fuck. He's ruthless. You know, he don't walk to the ring going, hold on, I'm just going to post and go into a Twitter space and do a live because something, you know, I mean, he just goes, I'm going to fucking go in there and destroy people. That's the mentality you want from a fighter. Not someone that's thinking about something else, overthinking, you know. So, Ryan's got to switch on and switch on fast.
Okay, Eddie Hearn, thanks very much for speaking to Boxing News. Catch up soon.